Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back with another video, and today I'm going to give you guys my review for the Transformers Legacy A Hero is Born 2-pack, which is Orion Pax and Alpha Trion. And this one is one where when I saw this, I knew it was a Hasbro Pulsecon exclusive. And I was like, I have to get this particular tag. You know, this is like one of those things where, you know, having an Alpha Trion figure is something I've wanted since 1985. And an Orion Pax figure is kind of cool. And yes, it is. They are redecos, or actually retools, of both Studio Series 86 Cup and Scourge. So seeing them actually be able to pull this off and give us like some decent looking figures, in addition to coming with Vector Sigma, is something that I have wanted for a while. The box art on both of them is fantastic. You know, the fact that we have like the battle damaged, you know, Orion Pax who gets rebuilt into Optimus Prime, and good old Alpha Trion here. So I can get these guys out of the box. So without further ado, let's sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchase some merch on my spring store today. Okay, so as you can see, Alpha Trion and Orion Pax out of the packaging, and just judging by both of them, you can easily see that they are retools of both Studio Series 86 Cup and Studio Series 86 Scourge. And looking at both figures here, I'm going to get a close-up on Alpha Trion's face. You can see how much detail they gave. I really love the fact that we finally have an Alpha Trion figure. I do have a little bit of a QC issue. His arm is on the loose side. It kind of just flips up. It doesn't really stay up very well, and it just seems to be the one issue with him. Now, that doesn't necessarily make him a bad figure per se. It seems to just be like the one issue on him. Maybe it's mold degradations, because they really mass produce the sweeps quite a bit. I've seen them, shell forming. But the retooling on this guy is fantastic. I mean, just looking at all of the detail on him is very similar to Scourge in particular. And I know a lot of people already have this mold, but it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, hey, how much do you really want to review the figure? But really, it's a matter of how well did they get Alpha Trion, here in robot mode, like, to look exactly like the character. It's something that so many of us who grew up watching the original cartoon wanted. But the thing is, Alpha Trion's now started to become a little bit more in Transformers in general, so seeing that is a fantastic thing. Now, the other thing, Orion Pax has showed up in other places, but the very first Orion Pax figure, which, getting a closer look on him here at his face sculpt, is that Orion Pax had the original G1 Cup recolored into him, with Dion being Wheelie, and so it's kind of odd that they're not releasing a Wheelie figure, but a Dion figure. But you can easily see that it already is. Orion Pax here is done pretty well. I like the fact that they retooled this, but I also know that they did that Power of the Primes one, and I didn't really care for it because he didn't turn into a Cybertronian vehicle. I mean, this is Orion Pax. This is the story of the origin of basically the most popular character in the entire Transformers franchise. And, so if you don't know the story of Orion Pax, it is basically quite simply like this, is that, here you had, was at one time, a dock worker, not a cop, not a librarian. He was a dock worker. He was a blue-collared guy. He was a nobody. That means that anybody could be this guy. He was pretty much your everyman, right? And he had heard about that there was some, new robot out there that could fly, and there was rumors about a war starting and stuff. He wasn't worried about that. He had his girlfriend, Ariel, and I want to bring in this in particular, figure is this particular Elita 1 figure, because I'll just say it was a stand-in for Ariel, and, the two of them kind of both looked at, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, like, there's just these robots that could fly, right? And so while, Ariel was inside the warehouse, in comes Megatron. And Megatron comes and sees the warehouse and goes, oh my god, hey, what is stored here? Energy. Let's attack. And Orion Pax is like, no, you can't do this. You can't do this. And so what happens is that Megatron quite literally shoots him in the shoulder. Now, it's kind of funny, too, because the original script kind of is a little bit more violent than this, and I'll get to that in a second. And right after that, Ariel gets blasted and killed herself. And then, Orion Pax goes to attack, and the original script actually calls for Megatron to rip off Orion Pax's arm and whack him in the head and literally decapitate him. But they felt that the censors, that it would have been too much, so Megatron just blasts him through the chest. That was okay. And the aerial bots, after going back in time, bring him to Alpha Trion to repair him. And they repair him into none other than Optimus Prime. So
I was wrong, my friends. I admired Megatron merely because he was powerful. I failed to see how he used that power.
This is kind of cool to be actually able to see Alpha Trion and Optimus Prime side by side. No, it's not. I don't consider this to be, Alpha Trion to be Orion Pax's dad per se. It's more so that he is the one who is responsible for rebuilding Orion Pax into Optimus Prime. Now, the other thing is that they added to the script that whole notion of, if, a female warrior, I'll call her...
A female warrior. Huh. I'll call her Elita 1.
And so that was basically the story of Orion Pax and, becoming Optimus Prime. I know you can watch the episode War Dawn, and I've already covered it in my Die-On video, but I figured I would use the figures to kind of display the same storyline as well, to kind of give you guys some explanation. Now, something else I do want to point out, of course, with Orion Pax and, Ariel, is that there's a lot of similarities between, the naiveness of Orion Pax and Hot Rod in Transformers the movie. Of course, we had Ariel. Actually, the creation of RC is the reason why Elita 1's character was even created to begin with. So when Orion Pax, had his girlfriend and everything, Elita 1's creation being stemmed from that, we can kind of thank RC for that as well. So, the two of them have a lot of similarities and, in their personalities and whatnot. So, anyway, the one thing that's interesting about this particular Orion Pax figure, since it falls in line with the Studio Series 86 Cup, is that, just take note here, is that, because I already reviewed this figure before, is that the limbs come off. And this particular arm is very, very loose. I'm going to have to actually do what I did to this particular Cup figure, is that I painted the posts. So I took some gray paint, waited about a week for it to dry, and then it stays in really tight. It doesn't come out, but the function of it still works. So if I get some red paint and just paint around the post, it will stay in perfectly fine. It does come with all of the accessories, though. So both figures come with the accessories of the blaster, which Orion Pax didn't have a blaster, and neither did Alpha Trion, but Alpha Trion, is basically coming with Scourge's blaster, because, you can see that they are utilizing the same mold with Scourge, and, it's kind of cool that, Alpha Trion comes with a blaster, but he doesn't need it. And so what I kind of decided is hey, you know what, if this is probably going to be, the storyline is that maybe he carries a little Energon, canteen, but maybe this is his welding torch, what he actually used to rebuild, Alpha Trion used to rebuild Orion Pax into Optimus. But I could see Alpha Trion using a blaster, because he would have fought Decepticons. It is known that Alpha Trion was the one to liberate Cybertron from the Quintessons, because he is one of the original, he actually says in the episode, The Key to Vector Sigma, that he is an original prototype, meaning that he is one of the original Transformers, and they went with that, and they retconned in storyline and kind of turning him into one of the original 13 Alpha Trion, or A3. So he is basically the third Transformer in the production line, is Alpha Trion. So anyhow, like I said, I'm very glad to actually have a figure of him. I do wish that there was something I could do. Maybe I might be able to get like something in there to tighten that joint, just so that the arm doesn't go like just flop like this. And that is probably my only QC issue. The other accessory that it comes with here, or I should say accessories, and this is one of the main reasons why some people also got it too, because they were like, I can kind of give or take Alpha Trion. Maybe I can go with, Orion Pax, but getting Vector Sigma and the key to Vector Sigma is a plus, and it does go into it, so you can utilize that whole, basically, it is the core of Cybertron, of the mega computer that gave all the Transformers life.
I am Vector Sigma. Before Cybertron was, I was.
Again, I know I'm giving you guys a lot of backstory here before I even get into any transformations or anything, but, since I've already reviewed Cup, I'm just going to get these guys into vehicle mode so we can take a look at them. Okay, so looking at both of them in vehicle mode, like I said before, this is because it is a retool of Cup, it's very much the same vehicle, and I am going to compare both versions of Cup here so you can kind of see the differences between both. But it's kind of interesting because the retooling that's done on Orion Pax, unlike the original version of Orion Pax, the actual first figure that was made back, I think it was like 2004, is like the tooling on the chest is different enough to make him look different in vehicle mode, even though it is very much the same. The only issue that I have, and I noticed this, was that Cup rolls without any problems, but Orion Pax, because of the knee pads right here, it kind of rubs. And even if I go onto the the table on the outside of this here, it doesn't roll as well. The one I am disappointed in, and really I shouldn't be disappointed, and it's really because, well, Orion, Alpha Trion never had a vehicle mode to begin with, and you can see the detailing on it, but it's Scourge in vehicle mode. Let's be real here. Looking at Scourge, it's very much the same vehicle. And it's not really an issue if you never transform Alpha Trion, because in the cartoon, Alpha Trion never transformed, but giving him a vehicle mode, I guess it does work. He just kind of had a flying saucer mode, very much like Scourge does. But yeah, pretty much it's like, I'm never ever going to end up transforming Alpha Trion again, but if I did want to make a scene with the sweeps and Scourge, I will. And so that is where the differences are. And then of course this, I have, more than one Scourge copy, and each one has varying degrees of whether or not they stay together well in vehicle mode. And Alpha Trion is very much the same way with these panels, and you have to really line them up properly. But I mean, I guess it does work. And of course with the cape, it being different, that is a noticeable difference. But still, Scourge, it ends up working better in vehicle mode because it also hides his robot bits underneath, where it doesn't do so much, here with Alpha Trion. So that's pretty much it for the two of them in vehicle mode. It's also cool to see, Alpha Trion next to other Autobot commanders and leaders. Obviously there are more, that I could have put into this shot, but I kind of figured that this would be a good representation of Alpha Trion as he appeared in the cartoon, alongside the other leaders of the G1 US cartoon. So do I think that of Orion Pax and Alpha Trion, do I think that the Hero is Born 2-pack belongs in your collection? If you can still get it, yes, absolutely. I absolutely love the idea of having an Orion Pax figure, but I think, of course, getting a good Alpha Trion figure is a bonus as well. The other big selling point to this thing is Vector Sigma, and it's something that, like, of course, yeah, you know, maybe you could say I can 3D print that, but not everybody has a 3D printer, and being able to get this accessory is something that I think is well worth it. I also think that, you know, it's getting this particular, you know, version of Orion Pax. I actually think it's a lot better than the Power of the Primes mold. I mean, I don't have that particular figure myself, so I can't really say it, you know, show it from here, but you know, I'll say this again. This particular figure, Alpha Trion, finally. If only I didn't have the QC issue itself, but outside of that, I think it's a great figure. But what do you guys think about the Hero is Born 2-pack? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have many more Transformers discussions, news, reviews, and more coming down the pipeline, so stay tuned for all of that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.